What?
We meet again.
Yeah, you're Batman.
I'm Batman.
Huge fan. Huge fan. Harley Quinn. Just kidding. Mask off. Hashtag
Mask off. Mask off. Mask off.
What's up, Mojave?
What's up, OutBREAK?
Chilling.
Here we are.
It's party time. Here we are. What is this? Fans, friends, and enemies of the internet, we'd like to thank you for joining us and welcome you to the first ever, all new, episode 1 of Peeridium Podcast. My name is OutBREAK.
I'm Mojave.
And again, thanks for joining us. So, we have these nice crisp balls we're going to be sipping on while we're watching this show. Recording this show, rather.
Doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, there's nothing better than sipping on some high caffeine, guarana-based balls.
Take another swig.
Had to take another swig. All right. So there's a lot to talk about. For those of you who don't know, we're Peeridium. We are a community-based website. You can find us over at Peeridium.com. We'll shout out everything at the end of the video. It'll be in the description below. Basically, we cover movies, games, music, tech, all types of stuff. Whatever we really feel like covering. And you as well, the fans, can also cover content. You can sign up for an account, and you can post reviews, you can post whatever you want. So basically, first episode, we used to podcast under Average Bros Reviews. That website has been down for quite some time. Peeridium's been up for quite some time, but now we're getting into regular podcasting. So stay tuned for what's next. Today we're going to be covering Paris Games Week. We're going to be covering some controversy between EA and Battlefront 2 and loot boxes, and also Disney's antics where they're trying to get movie theaters to meet very strict restrictions in order to show Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi. But first, we will talk about the cream of the crop. We're going to talk about Paris Games Week 2017. It's a Sony show where they announce new games. Basically, it's like their version of E3. It takes place in Paris, conveniently enough. So I guess I'll get started. There's some stuff that they announced that was really cool. A lot of new announcements. A lot of focus on indie and a lot of focus on VR, which I think is really cool. Not a whole lot of that. I feel like it's becoming more mainstream, but in years past, it was like minimal or not at all. Now we're starting to see it like really take place. Like in this one, I almost felt like the big games fell to the wayside because they put so much focus in the pre-show and even during the conference on other stuff. So some of the big keynotes, of course, we got to see a lot of the big stuff that people are waiting on. God of War, Detroit Become Human, which is Quantic Dream's new game. They've done, Heavy Rain, good game. It's actually one of my favorites. I couldn't think of the name. Then a lot of other stuff, but like the Spider-Man trailer was really awesome.
Looks great.
Yeah, the new Spider-Man looks outstanding, really. We got to see some of it at E3. Now, this was not really much gameplay. It was more of like a cinematic trailer, but it showed like the Kingpin, it showed Miles Morales, really showed a lot of what the game's going to bring to the table. And it looks really, really fluid, really awesome. It looks like everything that we've wanted in a Spider-Man game, and we've gotten some good ones in the past, but this looks like the top notch.
This is it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it looks just absolutely fantastic. Did you ever play Guacamelee?
No, I have not.
No. I played a little bit of it. It was like Xbox Games with Gold a while back, so they announced Guacamelee 2, which it's a side-scrolling, I guess platformer kind of thing. Almost in the same way of like a Rayman or something like that. Yeah. But you play as like a luchador, and I don't really recall too much about what's going on, but I know there's like you play as a chicken at some points, and they put a lot of emphasis on the fact that the Guacamelee 2 with the announcement it's going to have like enhanced chicken gameplay and stuff. But biggest keynote on that, 4-player co-op, and I'm assuming I don't think that one was online co-op, so it's probably couch. But there's not a whole lot of games that have that anymore. And
it's a dying breed there.
Right. And the first one was just 2-player. So the fact that this one's 4 players, naturally a big deal. But that looked dope. This was in the pre-show that they initially showed that. They showed some other games like Hong Kong Massacre, which looks like a top-down twin stick. Kind of cool. And some other stuff. Sims 4, they showed off a bit. That's coming to consoles. Been on PC for a while. One thing that I thought was cool about Sims 4 is the content that's coming out on PC that's like free content will also be free on the console ports, at least the PlayStation, but I think console ports in general. So that's kind of cool. I don't know. I think also with this one, they're advertising they put more focus on making it console friendly. I didn't mess with Sims 3, not a big Sims fan.
Yeah,
but
I haven't touched a Sims game in a few years myself. Like since like the DS days. Like,
right.
Way back, yeah.
Herbs Sims in the City. So, but I think with this one, they're advertising that they put more emphasis on making it like a game that's made to be played with the controller. I think a lot of times when you see like a RTS or something like that come to consoles, there's generally, it's like you're moving with the analog as if you had a mouse, and that just kind of, it tarnishes the experience. So if they did design this where they put a lot of focus on navigating the menus and all with the controller, then I think that's probably cool. Probably the best way to do it. One thing I was surprised that I saw in the pre-show that I was actually excited about is Tennis World Tour. And like some of the people that worked on Topspin, which was a popular franchise on like back in OG Xbox days, and I think they had one or two on 360. The fact that they're doing like a tennis game that's not Mario Tennis and has like depth to it, I think is really cool. That's something, for some reason, tennis translates really good to video games, and I think it's a fun sports game to play, and it's something that's like just as much of a party game if you want it to be as it is a game that you really get into and create your character and, you know, go through the ropes with that. And then again, very beginning I said huge focus on VR. In the pre-show and the regular show, they had separate VR things that put a lot of, you know, just showed like, in the pre-show they showed Resident Evil 7, they showed the, I think it's called The Last Hero. It's a new DLC that's coming out in December, when they like re-release the complete edition or what have you. Obviously Resident Evil 7 is like the big title for VR right now because of what type of game it is, being survival horror first person, but also the fact that it's Resident Evil. It's really the only thing with a brand that is.
It is a big following, and just it puts you in that experience so much more being VR. It makes sense. And
everything I've seen people say is like that is like the game if you're gonna play VR. Like, not super hot, not this, not that. Like, it's Resident Evil 7. Like, super that is the game. Hot. I haven't played it, but it really looks good. So dope.
It's really good. It's bullet time.
Okay.
It's a great game.
And they did show that in the thing as well. But they put a lot, like, they were showing all these VR things, and I'm not really big into VR. My biggest gripe with VR, I know this is funny, is just like because it's obviously mostly first person or what have you, the arms are cut off. And I'm sure it would look kind of weird if, like, you had this lanky-ass arm, like, sticking out with, like, it'd probably be harder to, like, set the joints and all. It's probably just easier to show, a glove, basically. Yeah. But that just bothers me.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. It's like some first-person shooters, like, you look down and you don't have legs. You're like, okay, why can't I see my legs?
That's a lot of them. And especially now, like, in this day and age, I hate when I buy first-person shooter where, like, everything, the sun is glistening off of the water, but I don't have feet. And it's like, what?
That's Battlefront 1, bro.
Right.
You can't even see. It's just God rays everywhere. You just can't see anything.
Yeah, but VR never really had a big appeal to me so far. I would love to have one just to try it. I've actually never even tried, like, true VR. I've seen the phones, the Samsung headset and stuff.
It's not... The phones aren't all that good. So
right.
I tried, like, the really bad, like, Google Cardboard, like, 2 or 3 times. I bought, like, different ones, and I tried it. It's just... It's not that good. I've tried, the Samsung one. That's probably the best one for the phone that I've tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I haven't tried the Vive. I haven't tried the Oculus. Like, I haven't tried PSVR. None of those. So, as much as I'd love to, just watching it, I'm sure, it's much different once you get in the headset, but watching it is like, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't make me feel like I need to do it. But there are some upcoming games that look cool. I'm sure if you're somebody who owns it, there are games that are worth playing. There was one game in particular that really stuck out to me, and it was called Blood and Truth. And it's like, it looks almost like a Splinter Cell, John Wick, like you're this badass, but it's like kind of stealthy. And like it looks dope. It takes place in London. But it starts off and it's like, you know, a little bit of dialogue, and then you see like the gun and he's aiming at this guy and then he shoots, and that kicks off into this cool like Dizzy Rascal style like rap song. Like it's awesome. And the whole trailer is like, it's like a James Bond, like super spy kind of guy, and it's just, it looks tough. And there's like a part where he's like hacking something he's got, you know, he's like breaking some electronic lock. It's dope, man. Like that game looks like something I would enjoy playing on VR. That's the kind of experience that
you're looking for.
That I'm looking for. So that is something that, like, if it comes out and ends up being an in-depth game and gets, you know, solid, like everybody's giving it solid praise, might have to jump on board with it. Might have to get me a VR. But that was awesome. And then some more big games. They showed Ghost of Tsushima. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. That's a new game from Sucker Punch. We knew Sucker Punch was working on something for PlayStation, but we didn't know what it was. Everybody thought it was going to be Spider-Man, but then I believe that's done by Insomniac. So it was like, what are they doing? This is a brand new IP. I believe it takes place during like World War II, and you're like a samurai or something. But it's like, they didn't really show like gameplay or anything. It was cinematic, but it looks really badass. Definitely something that I'm intrigued by. Watching the trailer, I was like, I gotta see more. And I'm sure, I don't think there was any release date or anything. So that's probably something where come E3 next year, we're going to get an expansive gameplay trailer, release date, what have you. Let's see, we talked about Spider-Man. The Last of Us 2 looks fantastic. Now, I did see some people were like speculating, like, is it going to be all about violence? Because the trailer is really violent. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like blood and gore kind of violent, but it's like, it's nasty. You know, it's like Negan from The Walking Dead style stuff. Like, it's brutal. But I don't think, like, the first game is so incredible. Yeah, the narrative of that game, the look, the feel, the gameplay.
Yeah, it's easily one of the greatest games of all time. Like, it's up there. Like, you mentioned anything in this generation, it's definitely one of the greatest games.
Yeah, and when you think about, like, gaming has evolved so much, but when you think about, like, games that really bridge the gap between movies and games, that's one of the first games that comes to mind. It's those types of experiences in, like, Heavy Rain, like, the types of games that they put you in that world and make you feel like those characters, and you love those characters, and when one of them dies, you know, you shed a tear, like... So I think The Last of Us 2, I think that trailer was to show that like where the stakes are at with this game. Like now it's further down the line. Now, you know, the world is deteriorated even more. Now it's like the survival instincts are heightened. It's not saying like, oh, this game's just going to be, you know, a violence fest. I think it's still going to have. I mean, it's still made by Naughty Dog. I think the second one is going to be just as good or close to as good. Maybe better. Who knows? But I think that they're not losing sight of what made the first game so wonderful. They've done the Uncharted series. Prior to that, Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter. Like, Naughty Dog knows what they're doing.
Yeah, it's hit after hit.
Right. They're not going to drop the ball on Last of Us 2 and make it this thing that, you know, they know what the audience wants. They know why the game won those awards. They know why the game is loved and sold probably just as well on PS4 as it did on PS3. And it's the same game. Like, they know. They know what they're doing. So Last of Us 2 looks great. Check out the trailer. It's not for people with like weak, like that are just that can't handle like heavy violence and stuff. It's brutal. It's almost like cringing, like no, but it's good. So before we move on, we're just kind of touching on it. Definitely watch the Paris Games Week press conference. It's really good. There's some good like watch-alongs as well if you like watching dialogue commentary over it. We missed out on it, but there's some good ones out there, so you can get some insight. But it was a really good press conference. Like, it's what I hoped Sony would have done at E3. And I guess maybe that's why they didn't, because they have their own, you know, the Paris Games Week but like their E3 press conference was pretty weak. So I'm glad that they are picking it back up. And this is like something, a lot of these games showed like why you would want to own a PS4. Like a lot of these games are exclusives. So most of the games that I've mentioned are exclusive to PS4. So it's like right now Sony's kind of running the gamut in terms of like why, like if you're going to own a console, which one? Because they've got the exclusives, they've got the early release content. Like they're really running the show when it comes to that. Xbox One X is obviously more powerful than PlayStation Pro, and we've gone through all that. But if you're looking just for games and you're looking to enjoy games and you want more options, PlayStation is continuing to prove why they're the better selection over Microsoft. But the last thing, Call of Duty World War II came out. I think it's out. Didn't it come out this week? Yeah. So, Call of Duty, people have always been like, Call of Duty sucks, Call of Duty's this, Call of Duty's that. Continues to sell well every year. Continues to have a huge fan base, one of the largest multiplayer bases out there. World War II looks good.
Yeah, it's, touch on that, like, it's nice, like, this isn't, like, the first, like, World War II game we've gotten, like, it's been done over and over, storming Normandy, this and that, but it's nice to see that done on current gen graphics.
Right.
So I guess that's the major appeal to it.
Right. And it looks good. The zombies looks like horror. Like it looks like it's actually creepy and with jump scares and things like that. And I mean, graphically, it really does look amazing. I think it's just the color palette that they chose to use to make it darker, to make it look gloomier. Just overall, the game itself, both the regular game and the zombies content looks really nice. It looks really crisp. But what I wanted to touch on was they announced the first DLC. And Paris Games Week, this is being shot after World War II is out. This Paris Games Week was last weekend or early last week. So this is after the fact. But at Paris Games Week, which was before Call of Duty World War II dropped, they announced the first DLC. And I didn't watch that part of it. I don't care. I really just wanted to touch on the fact that, the industry has obviously got its issues. But that's one of my biggest gripes. NetherRealm did it with Injustice 2. They, confirmed the first DLC pack. We knew because dating back to MK9 and the first Injustice, they had DLC combat packs. But, don't tell me what characters are going to be in the game that I have to pay for before the game even drops. And that's what Call of Duty's doing. We know there's going to be a season pass. We know that it's going to be $40, $50, whatever. We know that. And we know that it's going to be a couple maps, zombies map. We know. We know the drill by now. But it's almost insulting to say, yeah, you're about to buy our game this week, $60, full retail price. You might buy the deluxe edition or whatever, come with whatever it comes with. But we also want to tell you that in a couple months, you're going to be spending an extra $15 or buy the season pass to get this content that we're going to show you is already well into development, is already basically ready to drop. And I just feel like it's insulting, as a fan.
I'll let you finish that.
Well, I'm not a big Call of Duty player. I'm terrible at multiplayer shooters, so Call of Duty is just not my thing anyways. But I know with Injustice 2, I was so hyped for that game. And before it came out, when they announced that first combat pack, it almost kind of didn't kill my hype. I still love the game, played it when it first came out, really enjoyed it. I haven't bought the combat pack, either of them, or however many of them there are. I haven't bought any of it. Because that just felt like a slap in the face to me. So I was like, I'll wait till they're all out. I'll wait till I get a Christmas sale or whatever and get the whole shebang for 50% off or whatever. But I was just like, this is dumb. You're showing me characters, you're showing me gameplay with these characters that aren't in the game that I have to pay for and I still have to wait for. So it's instead of just letting me enjoy the game.
That's what I was gonna say. So it's either something that they should have delayed, wait a month or two, and then be now this is available. Make it look like something was in development over that time. Stretch it out, or include it day one. It's either one or the other. You don't pull that in between stuff. But this is going to be available, and you're going to have to pay for it. Just wait. Just hold off on it. don't insult your consumer base like that.
Yeah.
Like I think it's one of the worst things you can do.
I almost feel like even, you said a month, I feel like even if they just wait a couple weeks just to get through that initial launch hype, like let people enjoy the game, let people feel like, because generally, yeah, especially with like Destiny 2, I don't think they like showed any post-game content before launch, but like a lot of people were done with Destiny 2, like my brother, he was level 20 or whatever the max level was in like the first couple days because he just plays that game. But I feel like, let him play. Let these players that are gonna marathon it in the first weekend or whatever, let them get their thing in. They're playing a little bit just to keep up with it, get the weekly bonuses or whatever it is, and then a couple weeks later go, hey, we got this content coming out. And then get that hype back in. Maybe if they already put the controller down, now they pick it back up because they want to stay fresh with their skills before the DLC drops.
I mean, Destiny, what they did, when they had the collector's edition go on sale, I remember seeing like, the expansions are like included with it. Like they already knew 2 expansions were going to be out, and this was like months and months prior to release day.
Yeah. But it's just it's broken, and it's like these developers are getting too cocky about it. And thankfully, I'm seeing a lot of people on the internet, like guys with recognizable names, talking about, and gals, not just guys, but talking about it in like for what it is, negative fashion, saying this is bullshit. Like we need to fix these problems. We need to stop pre-ordering these games. We need to stop shelling out this money and supporting these loot boxes, which we're about to touch on, and all this other stuff. Like, it's dumb. Like, being a gamer, I'd much rather go spend $20 on an indie title and get equally amount of time out of it, or even half as much time out of it, because I'm spending less than half the retail cost. And, like, knowing that I'm supporting a developer that is like grinding, they want my money, they want my business, they want to make the best game they can make, not just a game that's gonna pad their wallets. So yeah, World War II DLC, I felt like it was a slap in the face. It definitely killed the hopes that I was gonna buy the game at launch. If it's on sale Black Friday, maybe I'll pick it up. I don't know. If I catch it on a good sale, deal of the day or something like that, Amazon, what have you, I might grab it, but certainly not getting my full 60, because that's insulting. So we'll move on. Before we round back to video games, I think we should just break up the monotony a little bit, talk about Star Wars Episode VIII, Disney being real greedy, being real sketch.
Being some real porgs about it.
Right, yeah. Being
real porgy.
Yeah, exactly.
Porgy
so,
pig.
I want to read the article here. This is from businessinsider.com. You can find it on really any site, but we're giving these guys a shout out because Jason Guracio wrote a real nice article. So, Disney is requiring movie theaters that show The Last Jedi hand over 65% of ticket sale revenue and play it in their largest auditoriums for at least 4 weeks. Now, just to give you some context behind that, the average, like the going rate generally is like 55%. So this is 10% more. I think some go up to 60, and I think Disney actually, like a year or two ago, I maybe read an article saying that like they were going to start asking for more for their Marvel movies. I mean, the movies are going to sell. Obviously, the theaters have to show them. We'll get into that in just a moment. Some small independent theaters are deciding not to show it. So this guy put, and this is exactly what I'm about to touch on, when you are the king of the mountain, you can declare some unusual terms. And that's exactly what Disney is doing when it comes to releasing Star Wars The Last Jedi, some theater owners said. So the movie theater is kind of a dying breed. I love going to the movies. I've been to the movies twice in the last 2 days. I saw Thor Ragnarok twice in a row. It was amazing. Highly recommend it. Now I also have Movie Pass, which if y'all didn't hear about that, $9.99 a month. You can see a movie a day, technically. One movie every 24 hours. 2D showings only, but it's $9.99 a month. And you can go to any theater that accepts MasterCard. Really awesome program. But, in general, we're seeing all this stuff, like movie theaters are hurting. We're seeing stock prices drop. We're seeing, it's a decline. The industry is on a decline. And it sucks. It's just it's just the way stuff happens. Now you got Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime Video, your cable box. You're even saying like Vudu and some of those other like video HD, digital HD sites like are starting to get more so indie movies than anything, but like some of them you'll see like watch it now while it's in theaters. You can, rent it or buy it for $15 or $20 or whatever. And it's like that's obviously killing. People can go to the movies and spend $40-$50 to take their family and buy popcorn and all that, or they can stay at home, pop some Orville Redenbachers, crack open a 2-liter Coca-Cola and call it a night for $5. I think that Disney doing this, for one, it's dumb because Disney is such a powerhouse. Yeah. Disney's basically a monopoly. Yeah, they've got...
We're talking about a company that's generating billions.
Right. They've got Marvel. And it's like, they've got Marvel, they've got Star Wars, and they've got Disney. So, 3 powerhouses. Mm-hmm. Like, those licenses, any license under Marvel, Spider-Man or... any of the Avengers, Iron Man, any of those names sell. Under Star Wars, you've got a storied history of books, movies, comic books, video games, all that stuff. And then, and it's a license that translates very well across all mediums. People want to read Star Wars books, they want to play Star Wars games, they want to watch Star Wars movies. Same thing with Marvel. And then Disney has their own fantastic history of films. Almost every movie they release is a hit, except The Good Dinosaur. And it's just like why? What? They're taking that extra 5 to 10% of revenue away from these theaters to just add profit to their bottom line that they don't need. Yeah, they don't need it all.
It's like they're just trying to hurt the smaller, these smaller movies and stuff like that.
I was talking to my dad about, we were just going back and forth, on our thoughts on it. I said, it almost feels like corporate gentrification. Like, it feels like they're trying to just shut out everyone so it only ends up being them. Because, what happens if, Disney's doing their own streaming service. So if they kill the movie industry, all it's going to do is make people have to pay a premium to get their new movies on their thing. Now, obviously, movie theater industry would take a long time to completely kill it. There's always going to be drive-ins, and not always, it's not a guarantee, but for the foreseeable future, they're not going to go out in 2 years because Disney raised their revenue, how much revenue they want. But it's just even if that was their end goal, was the execs at Disney are like, we're going to ask for more money and we're going to make it so they can't play, our movies, so they lose all that profit. So then they can't play, Justice League. They can't play Suicide Squad. They can't play, all these other films that aren't Disney movies. Can't play Tarantino movies and all that. For one, it would be such a long process to do that. And for two, is the amount of money that they're going to make from their whatever alternative they decide to do to make that money on their new movies, is it going to be worth it? Are they going to be can they charge $100 a month for their streaming service? Or is it worth it to just have people I saw Episode VIII 3 times in theaters, and the first time I saw it was the marathon over $50 tickets. I saw all 7 movies. So, they got my money 3 times over. They got probably $75 out of me to go see that movie. Yeah, or, the theater and whatever. But I'm saying, do they really need that extra, 5% of that money? Do they really need that? Are they gonna go under if they don't get that? No, but the theaters might. And it's stupid. It's a ballsy move, but it backs the theaters into a corner. So they kind of have to do it.
Yes, I'm sure there's some theaters that rely on those Disney movies.
Exactly.
And then it's bad. It's bad all around.
Yeah, there's a movie theater by my in-laws, and I want to say it was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think it was that. And I'm not going to shout out the theater's name or anything. It's a family-owned theater or something. I don't think they're a chain. And they have a discount day. Most theaters do. Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Is like matinee all day. But they had signs on their door that said, we will not, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or whatever movie it was will not be a part of this promotion. And you know why? Because they already had to give a premium to, Disney for that. I think that was the increase that I heard about back in the past. So it's like, it's just stupid, You're hurting theaters. Because imagine how many people, this was like a week or two after it came out, imagine how many people are now are either just skipping out on it completely or whatever, which would, obviously that hurt both Disney and the theater, or, they're going to another theater, and it's probably a chain, it's probably an AMC or a Regal, which is just going to shut down the little mom and pop shop. And it's broken, man, it sucks. That's just the industry, that's the direction that industry's going, the games industry's going. Seems like everybody's just going to that. Except us. Free podcast for life. Like, what more do you want?
Put a little asterisk next to it.
Right. Subject to change. Peeridium does not condone any of the thoughts of OutBREAK. So yeah, I think I said my piece about that. If more comes up about it, we'll talk about it again in a future show. If episode 9, they want 90% of the ticket prices, then obviously we'll talk about that. Or when the Disney execs come knocking on our door or take our podcast down, we'll talk about it then as well. So lastly, EA with the DLC Battlefront 2, one of the most hyped games of this year. Looks fantastic. The beta played really well. I had a good time with it. I only played a couple matches though, so this whole backlash I was seeing all these people talk about online wasn't really familiar with because I didn't play enough so that I was getting to that point. And I was getting stomped, as I do anytime I play a multiplayer shooter, so I didn't know the difference. I didn't know I was getting stomped because these people had epic star cards or whatever. So this is from Polygon, recognizable website. Check them out. Allegra Frank posted this. Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot boxes undergo changes following criticism. So the criticism was that their loot boxes, which is a common theme in games now, starting with, I think Overwatch was the first big one to do loot boxes, but theirs was all cosmetic, got all these different skins. It was cool. It was you don't have to do it. You just, if you want a cool thing, and it's all random, so it's you're probably not going to get the skin you want without buying them or whatever, but at the same time,
it's purely cosmetic. It doesn't change the game.
Yeah.
It's,
and you're not going to know, you don't get a special skin for spending $100.
Yeah.
You get skins
it's
as you get them.
The same RNG chance across all boxes.
Right. So that's if you're going to do it, I think that's the way to do it. Cosmetic does not affect the gameplay. It's,
Good job, Blizzard.
Right. Good guy. Good guy, Blizzard. So, Electronic Arts, again, this is a direct quote from the article. You can read it over on Polygon. Electronic Arts has reworked Star Wars Battlefront 2's loot crates in light of user feedback the publisher shared on its website. Once the game launches in mid-November, several progression-related items and weapons will be obtainable through regular play, not random loot drops as they were in the beta. This is a quote. The beta gave us a welcome chance to test all of our systems in action and tune things up for a better balance. The blog post reads, a few weeks back, we mentioned we were going to take another look at how the progression system works. As a result, end quote, EA detailed a handful of tweaks it's made to its loot crates. Number 1, epic star cards which allow players to use extra abilities or weapons will no longer be confined to loot crates. Players will either have to craft them or acquire them by buying the deluxe editions of Battlefront 2. Still kind of laughable. Number 2, players will have to increase their in-game rank in order to upgrade their star cards by using crafting materials, which are still found in loot crates. So that I think is kind of cool, because I think naturally as you progress through, in Call of Duty, you get better guns as you level up. That's fair.
Yeah.
Then number 3, the majority of class-based weapons will be unlocked through regular play as that class. There will also be loot crates limited to certain classes, which will include parts and star cards to create new items and gear with. So, in my opinion, that's a valid solution, for the most part, to the kickback. People were complaining that you could get these epic star cards not only in loot boxes. So basically, anybody that was a big name YouTuber, one of those guys that had the money to throw a couple $100 down, would have a much better chance of getting that competitive edge.
Then you turn around and make a video, watch me open 100 crates.
All right, exactly. So,
and make all that money back and then some.
Right, exactly. So, it's cool that they're fixing that. And they said, the loot crates will contain the parts and stuff that you need to craft them, whatever, but, like, you have to level up. You have to go through the progression system. So, the people that want to do that, even with the limited availability that they'll have to do it now, will still have to put in the time. They'll still have to put in the effort. And I think that's a good solution. But it doesn't really excuse the fact that it was set up as a broken way to begin with. I don't think you can excuse the fact that EA was doing some sketchy shit. They were, like, that system's just not... I don't know why they thought they'd get away with it. Like, I don't know how gullible they think we are. Especially when EA had, like, Titanfall 2, where he bought the game, which unfortunately it didn't sell as good as it
should have. Yeah, I mean, that's a solid game.
We had this fancy Titanfall 2 poster right here. Yeah,
you may be able to see it.
Maybe I will see it. I don't know.
Titanfall 2.
But if not, you can see my Cuphead shirt. Anyways, so but that game, you bought your $60 game, you got the the post game content and all that. Like, that's cool. That's the way you should do it. But, like, how's EA going to release that game under one of their studios, Respawn, and then is DICE doing Battlefront? Is it DICE?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so and then have DICE release Battlefront 2, both developers under EA, and then it's a completely polar opposite broken way to do it. It just, I don't know. It's like they said, wow, Titanfall 2 didn't sell well, but it was doomed from the start. It came out when other stuff was coming out. Like I forget what else came out. There was like another popular shooter that came out within a couple weeks of that. Like they set it up for failure. And if they looked at it and said, oh, well, Titanfall 2 didn't sell well, so obviously that system won't work for Battlefront 2. It's just dumb. I don't know, man. I got a lot that I could go on all night. But nonetheless, it's broken. They got to fix it. Just played Super Mario Odyssey, just reviewed that. It's up on the site now. Like, that game doesn't have any announced DLC. And that game I spent, like, probably 15 hours in it. And I've got, like, an eighth of the amount of stars in the game. The Power Moons. So, and I spent the full price, $60 game. And I've got probably another 20 or 30 hours that I can put into it. No DLC. That's what I like to see. Yeah. So thanks for watching. That's all we have for today. Did you have anything? I didn't even...
Nah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching.
Think about that.
Thanks for checking us out. The first episode, the all-new episode 1 of Peeridium Podcast. You can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Peeridium, Instagram @Peeridium, Twitter @Peeridium. You can find us on Patreon now, patreon.com/Peeridium. That's all in development, but you can still check it out and just see what we had to say on there so far. But definitely follow us on social media. Pretty active on Twitter and Instagram, so you can see regular posts on there. We'll also be posting more content on our website. This will be a weekly show, so right now, don't know exactly what day of the week it'll post. It may not be the same, but in the next few episodes, we're going to try to get one episode a week up on the same day. Get it regulated so y'all know when to watch us, how to watch us. But thank you again for watching. Thanks for checking us out. All of that information will be down below in the description. And we're going to sign off here. My name is OutBREAK.
I'm Mojave.
Thanks again for watching.